All right, where we left off last time, we had just finished a little bit of Lydia's hair. We're going to do some more of that now. I stood it upright so you could see where I was. And we're going to go finish this area. We are using basically 3 tones of paint, but we're mixing them all in different groupings. Again, Payne's Gray, Burnt Umber, Raw Sienna. That's about it. I use, as far as brands are concerned, the only thing I really want to comment on, don't go to a cheap place and expect to have this same type of quality of paint. You really have to get some good quality stuff. I'm not going to name names, but there are some brands that are better than not. Some brands offer more pigmentation. The more pigmentation you get in a brand, the better it's going to be. The more rich the colors are going to be, the more adaptable to each other they're going to be. Let's say you buy one brand and you notice it didn't work blending with another. That usually tells you the pigmentation is not as high in one brand as another, and the end result is they don't blend very well. The more money you spend on paints, the more pigmentation they tend to have. And they tend to blend very well. So here we go. We're going to blend a bit now. We're going to take a neutral color, which is going to be the raw sienna. Blend it with a darker color. Don't ever use one color exclusively. I'm one of those guys that don't sleep much, and I tend to paint and draw almost, I'd say, about 12 hours a day. I've been working on Stokey for many, many years, and I've repainted them and repainted them and repainted them. I'm still not quite satisfied with them. For instance, I'm going to redo the flower. It looks to me like some sort of Christmas ornament, so I'm probably going to repaint it one more time. It seems the moment I've got Stokey where I want them, now the flower looks kind of cheap. So I tend to want to redo it and redo it. Eventually I'll be happy with the end result. But I don't think I'm going to redo Stokey anymore. I think I pretty much hit the end of the line with him. I think I can't possibly do more than I've done. Never know though. I hope not. I think, considering I took that photograph at least 20 years ago, I'm amazed that I kept it as long as I did. Okay, and it was a black and white photograph which I colorized. That alone makes me feel very proud because it's hard to do. All right, we're going to go back to that little light shade. I'm going to blend in better what I have, because right now it didn't blend too well. I'm going to go into that and blend it ever so nicely. Do it again. The funny thing about acrylics, they dry on impact. And it's a good thing about acrylics. Oil, on the other hand, does not. Oil is very resistant to drying. It might take hours for it to dry, depending what season it is, depending on what temperature the room is at. If you want to use an aerosol to dry it, you could, but I'm pretty much, I could use both mediums. I like oil, I like acrylic. I pretty much go with the subject matter rather than anything else when it comes to usage. With somebody like Lydia, I chose to use acrylics because her skin is so light. If I use oil, I would tend to darken. I think the result would have been dark, and I prefer it to be very light. Now, some people say you can't blend with acrylics. I find that you can. I find that if you know what you're doing, and I don't use extenders or anything like that, I simply use water. Again, age-old argument. I think you don't need extenders. I'm sorry if you work for an extender factory. I'm going to make lots of enemies, but I don't see the need. Water is as much extender as I'll ever need. Now I'm going to take some of this light tone and make some of these hairs bounce over. I'll probably get lots of letters from people who use extenders. I beg to say I'm sorry, but I don't use them. Never have. Never saw the need. All right, I'm going to take the dark right up to the edge of what I just painted. You know, considering I've got this much done in half an hour, I'll probably go back and redo chunks of it, because I'm very finicky when it comes to detail. This is pretty good for one coat, for one little bit of identity. I'm very happy with it. But I'm notorious for taking my darn sweet time when it comes to painting. I mean, when you do something on commission, that's one thing. You have a deadline, you have to have it done. You approach it with a different type of attitude. You will try to get it done as quickly as you can, and you'll try to get it done in a method that will break out a quick situation. You'll have it done. When it comes to satisfying myself, let's say in the sense that Stokey's concerned, I don't put a time on it. And it's already been a year and a half in drawing and painting, so some people say it's been longer. Believe me, it's been a year and a half. And that's an unheard of amount of time. Nobody would spend that much time on a painting. Some people would, I do. I have paintings at home that I've started years ago and I'm not finished yet. But those are choices. And I don't see the need to compete with a stopwatch. I don't see that it will make me any better if I have to get something done by a certain date. Not when it comes to work that I value. All right, I want to approach here next to the face. Like, for instance, this area right here. We're going to go with some of the hairs that actually rest on top of the eye. Very similar to what I've showed you, we are going to make them lighter in the center, darker on the outside. So, here we go again. We'll make this a little bit lighter. We'll make strand by strand by strand. I know of no other way. Here we go. I'm sure there's hundreds of ways to do this that are quicker and more cost effective. I'm not interested in cost effectiveness. When it comes to Lydia's face, I'm more interested in the end result, not cost effectiveness. Okay, we're going to go strand by strand. I'm going to put a little dark between each one of these. Again, later on I'll probably even find a different way to make them lighter. I'm just interested in getting some bit of play. The lights in the studio are making the paint dry very quickly. So I have to really, and acrylics are very, very picky. They dry almost on pin packed. And what I'm doing is racing the clock to make sure that the color just lands perfectly. Let's go with a light shade now. It's funny, but everywhere you go, every different room you are situated in, acrylics act differently. I was in a studio this morning teaching some seniors, and this was beautiful. It just landed perfectly. There was no problem. I was able to do a different painting very easily. I took this home an hour later, was playing with this a little bit. My house is very nice, really works very well with the paint. No problem whatsoever. Every room is different. Every temperature is different. I guess that's the beauty of acrylics. I'm going to go back to the smaller brush. This one's a tad big. And as I get closer to the eyes, I want to use something that's just a little bit finer. So we're going to take a little bit of this raw sienna, mix it in with a little bit of tan, a lot of water to make this very, very pliable. And here we go. A little bit of dark next to that one. A little bit more, it's getting dry on me. Wet it up a bit. A little bit of light. Let's make it real light. Put a little bit more tan in there. Notice I'm not using white. I think at this point to use white would be a little bit, it would end up in a ghostly effect. And I will use white eventually when I want really harsh highlights. At this point, not yet. Not yet. So here we go. I'm going to put some lighter ones right there. I'm going to show you what the effect of light will do. Just a tan, a little bit of the raw sienna and tan. Watch what happens when I put a little bit and make this wetter. Here we go. Oops, a little bit too wet. So you got to be careful you don't have too much pigmentation on your brush, and it can't be too wet or too sloppy, so this is going to be fine, I hope. Let's mix it up a bit. Try to blend it better. I'm not actually putting any paint so much as I'm going to blend what I have. Now that I have this really light area, I'm going to go back over it with the raw sienna, blend it in ever so carefully. So it's blended. Do it again. Do it again. The end result is going to create like a strand effect of the hair, which is what you want. Do some more in this outer area. The small brush will create a very small little line, which is what you want. I know some artists, oh, back when I was going to art school, we had one teacher who used a 3-hair brush. Sometimes they did hair. He was incredible. I learned a lot about painting from that man, and I think I carried too much of his technique into my present day work. And I cherish the fact that he taught me how to do flesh tones, how to do hair. Taught me how to draw. It's a valuable thing. These days, we're running into a society where that is not valued. Speed is what's valued. And I don't know, I'm one of the old-fashioned boys. I like doing stuff slowly, meticulously. I like to see hair pop out. I actually want to feel it. When I do a portrait, it's not only going to look like the person I do, you're going to see a little bit of their soul. You're going to see a little bit of what makes them tick. I recently did a portrait of a dog for a lady, and she said she could almost see the fleas in his coat. That's what I like. Not that he had any fleas, but it was, that was a compliment to me. There we go. I also like it when you do something like that for a person and they like what you did so much they start crying. That's not bad. Okay, let's go back to this brush and put some more basic fat tones in. And we're going to do some of the light tones just like we did with the area we had. We're going to put some dark. Again, some more dark. We're going to put a few darks to go underneath some of the hair. Like for instance here, you could see some dark that just basically go underneath some of the hair. I'm going to use a little bit of Payne's Gray, a little bit of burnt sienna, mix them together and have them go right underneath and end it. A little bit more water. It tends to be a little dry in the studio. And just have it fade away. Take the other brush, take some of the lighter. By the time I get back here, it's already dry. And that way it looks like it's hiding behind some of the other paints. It's excellent. Now, we did manage to put her eyebrow right there. Her eyelashes are there. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to blend this in ever so nicely. A couple more lashes, a couple more strands of hair. Take the other brush, get rid of the color that was in there. Go with a medium color. You want a broader stroke, so we'll do that. Put a couple of those in. We're going to put a couple of dark areas between, just like we did. I'm very much trying to get the eyelashes shown with the hair going into them. Nice effect. Let's put a couple of these broad strokes right here. This will be dramatic once we have some of the light hair going above the dark hair. Not bad. Coming out rather nicely. All right, let's do a couple of the smaller hairs. And they're going to actually go right into the eyelashes. They also tend to be a little bit lighter here. So if you put a lighter grouping of hair, let's get some of that water out of there. If we have some of this go right on top of that dark one, it's going to be it's going to show dimension. I'm going to put a dark one right here next to it. I'll do it again, another dark one. So basically at this point you're going to have dark against light against dark against light. The trick is to make it nice and wet so it doesn't run out of steam halfway down your painting. Put a couple of light ones now. The light ones are going to be dramatic against the eye. Because we have a dark tone in the eye already. Put another light one here. Let's put a couple of dark ones going in to this tone. Another one. And we'll have a few going right into the eye. Very dramatic. Makes the eye look very, very almost sensuous because the hair is going right into it. So here we go. Got to be careful because now it's drying out on me. It's a nice effect. The problem I'm doing right now is I'm running into the paint's drying just as I speak, and I have to be very careful and always wet it. All right, the other thing too we have to look at, we have some light ones coming. We have to put a couple lighter ones at the very edge of this. Here as that is. There we go. We're using raw sienna with some of the tan, and we're going to put some light ones right here. You can do the same thing, even lighter perhaps. Coming out good. Let's put one dark one now. Now we're playing against hair. We have to put a couple dark ones to make the light ones have emphasis. So we're going to put a dark one. Probably very dark. Just to make the light ones have more emphasis. And again, it's getting very dry on me, so I have to really wet it down like crazy to make it work. Coming out good. Move this just a bit. We're gonna do some more light ones. I'll probably end up putting a lot of light ones. Or better yet, I'm going to take this brush and put a couple of long ones. Watch what I'm doing. I actually have a hair go right in front of the eye. It's a very light color, so what I'm going to do is take the burnt sienna with the tan. Because it's going over flesh, it's going to look very dark anyway. We have to make this very soluble for it to work. So I'm going to really put a lot of water into it. It's already been baking in the studio lights, so right now I think it should be just about ready. Okay, I'm going to put one right here. I'm going to really make this fine. What I'm going to do is actually make 2 or 3 strands here. 2 or 3 strands. I want this one done so you see what we're doing. It's going to have a lot of impact. Basically, I really want 2 or 3 colors in that. But I think I want one to be very light. So the next one's going to be tan. And I'm going to turn it upright in a second just to show you the impact that made. And again. All right, so let's turn it upright and see what we've done. Not bad at all. I can see some nice presence there. What I'm going to do now is just put a couple of these in here. It's nice and dry here already, so I can put my hand on there. We're going to put a couple of strands here. Actually make it darker. This is a hair that's going underneath existing paint. And I just want to put 1 or 2 more. These are, judging by the photograph, these are light, but I'm going to put a couple of dark ones that have some light strands going above it. It's coming out rather well, I think. What I'm going to do eventually is put some light tones in above the dark. Hair is always, most people say hair is probably the trickiest of all, and I have to say it is. It's a lot trickier than flesh tone.